might think that you're in a chateau garden in France, looking at a very fine parterre garden, but you're not. You're in Allewan Gardens in Yarra Glen, which is about 50 kilometres northeast of Melbourne. But this parterre is one of the finest that you'll see anywhere. Way back in 2008, the gardeners' creators, John and Prue Vanderlyn, were awarded the title of Gardening Australia's Gardener of the Year, and John Patrick was delighted to present them with the Golden Spade.
Thank you very much, John.
John, thank you very much. It's fantastic.
A lot of plants have come and gone since then, but one thing that definitely hasn't changed is their pride in the award.
We are immensely proud of the fact that we actually got it in the first place. So we've had it on display all of that time.
Well, well done.
Yeah.
Is the garden changed much since then?
In essence, it hasn't, but it's matured enormously. And at that time, it wasn't fully built, and we're still building it. Most of it is there. There's just a little bit like a puzzle. You do a little bit here, do a little bit there, a little bit there, and it slowly all fills in.
How big is the place, though?
The garden itself is 7 acres, so that's quite a lot of acreage to look after and maintain. And I think the biggest challenge, Jane, is to have it looking good every single day of the year.
What was here on the place when you first arrived?
Jane, it was a desolate place. There were 5 trees on 52 acres, only 5, and about 16,000 blackberries. The first thing we built was the wisteria archway, and that looked pretty unusual, sitting in the middle of a paddock on its own, desolation all around it.
One thing you can't but help notice here is a definite French vibe to the place, which is entirely deliberate.
I've been to France a little bit, and I just love the history of French gardens, the influence they've had around the world. Wherever there have been gardens in the 15, 16, 17, 1800s, often the French were involved, and I find that fascinating. I love that you can have organised part of the garden, as in strict lines, and the natural element combine it together. And we've been trying to do that very carefully, and it works.
How is the garden designed?
The garden is designed with lots of different garden rooms. In the main garden, we have the central fountain and 2 50-metre wisteria archways leading off that. So that's the central spine of the garden, if you like. We have the parterre garden, we have the Zen garden, the beautiful birch forest, which is just one of my favourite places.
John, how many birch trees are in this lovely forest?
500.
Ooh, and what types?
It's mainly a mixture of the normal Bachelor pendula,
Yeah.
but then we've also mixed in Bachelor nigra. It's the paperbark or the river birch.
They're beautiful.
It's a really interesting tree.
Yeah, and then you've underplanted with hellebores and all sorts of things.
Hellebores, ruscus,
Yep.
bulbs.
John, it's lovely how you've got it here, but how long did it take you to do?
Well, it took a while. We wanted something that was French-inspired, but not actually French.
Yeah.
And I'm very keen that no one could have a look and say, oh, that's a copy of this or that's a copy of that.
Well, that's
So
certainly not because you've got the Allewan written there.
I know. We drew that so many times. But in the end, we just went with it and it worked out absolutely magically.
And what kind of box is it?
It's mainly Dutch box.
Yes.
And then for the taller plants, we use English box.
So these conical ones here, that's the English
because
box?
they grow a little bit higher.
Yes.
And the Dutch stays nice and compact.
Well,
So
it's a
very
credit
lucky.
to you because it's just beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fantastic.
How French is this? The lavender, the olives, the lovely spring day
It's
perfume.
lovely. It's
Oh.
beautiful. And this is a very special lavender because it starts off very quietly and very slowly, and then every day more and more of it comes out. So the colour deepens every day.
It's
so
called Assa Blue, isn't it?
Assa Blue, yep.
It's magnificent.
It's a beautiful, and it's a lovely form. A lot of lavenders can get big and woody and break in the middle, but this one keeps a lovely rounded form, and it's really a great lavender to have in beautiful rows. And the bees love it. On a sunny day, this is humming. The whole place is humming.
Are you on town water?
Now, town water stops about a kilometre away from here, and it's not possible to be connected to water supply. We had to dig the dam, and then we've done a lot of work on the property, and so we've got contour swale drains everywhere that collect the water. And every path, they're all drained, they all go back to a wetland, and then in the wetland it gets filtered out and it goes back into the dam, and then we can use it. And what helps a little bit is that because it's on the northern side of the gardens, when the weather gets really hot and we get a little bit of northerly wind, it picks up a little bit of moisture and it helps the birch forest.
The perennial garden is one of my favourite places because you can always get colour no matter what time of the year.
This colour is just amazing at the moment, isn't
Yes,
it?
it's beautiful. So you've got the yellow, with lots of yellow and blue at the moment for some reason.
Well, that's such a lovely blue,
So
isn't
this
it?
time of year, the mauves, the pinks, the yellows are coming through, and then in about a month or so, we'll have oranges and reds. And I'm really quite happy to contrast anything against anything.
Yeah.
One of my
Well,
heroes
look
is
at
Sarah
this.
Raven. You know Sarah Raven?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes,
She
yes.
says, put purple with red. Why not?
Why not? How good is that dahlia?
That has come up all on its own, suddenly appeared a month ago, and it's just been doing this ever since.
What's this one called?
That one is neon rose. Very good shape with the dark foliage. The pink really stands out. And as long as you keep deadheading it, it'll keep producing masses of flowers from now right through to autumn.
Wow, it's a real doozy, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about the future? Where do you see the garden going next?
It will just keep on growing because we're both going to live for another 30 or 40 years at
Oh
least.
my God.
And
Really?
And there is still a lot of work to be done. We are presently planting up all the rest of the property. So we're putting in a 40-acre oak forest.
Wow.
And so the whole of the garden will be completely surrounded and sit inside a forest. And
Wow. Can I come back in 30 years?
Oh, yes.
Oh.